pimps historically have been the most hated group of individuals in America. I know, man. I know you want to argue with me, man, but don't argue with this game, man. Save the drama for your mama and argue with her. But dig this, though. In spite of the hatred, the idea of becoming a pimp is more popular than it's ever been, and it only becomes attractive to more and more young men as the clock ticks. And, you know, with all this popularity, a lot of things come with it. One of the things that comes with it is very, 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 very harsh prison sentences. And we're going to talk about that, man. But first, wipe your feet off at the door when you step into a pimp's domain. Let's go.
But you want all this pimping you can't afford. Perform like a punk, but want a winner's reward. Some suckers give you points, but bitch, you never scored. If you ain't paying pimping, then bitch, you getting ignored. Okay. I'm so sick of these.
So the idea of pimping in the state of Washington, most specifically the city of Seattle, has been a very popular topic. And, you know, it's been in the news. It's been talked about a lot on social media. And Seattle attracts a lot of attention when it comes to pimping and 304. And most recently, there's a young man who goes by the name of Chasin Ced, whose legal name is Cedric Dorsey, who recently caught a case up there and was even more recently sentenced on the charges that he had up there. So, you know, with no further ado, let's get into it.
Yeah, Molly and Preston, Bellevue police say this all started out as a routine patrol call where a couple of officers thought something didn't quite look right. That led to prosecutors saying they were able to take down a vicious pimp who was abusing a woman and selling her for sex work while keeping the money for himself.
So trying to tell me leave alone?
On social media,
It's trying to tell me leave money alone.
Cedric Dorsey painted himself as a pimp
Why I'm a pimp?
with money, swagger, and influence.
It's funny how they try to make it. It's always a trip to me how they try to make it like if you're a young black man, you know, that's flashy and flamboyant and things like that, that, you know, that's synonymous with you being a monster. I just don't like that, but let's continue.
DCC 333.
But investigators say his lifestyle was built by forced sex work, as Dorsey trafficked a woman into prostitution in Seattle, Bellevue, Kent, and Las Vegas. It all came undone in 2024 when Bellevue police responded to a domestic violence call involving Dorsey and his victim.
They listened to what that victim was telling them and realized things weren't just adding up for her and what she was saying, and that she was in a very dangerous situation.
Bellevue Police Major Ellen Inman says patrol officers noticed signs of trafficking and called detectives.
When you ask them questions, they're answering repeatedly in these kind of scripted or answers that sound like they're rehearsed. When they
Yeah, see, for those of y'all who haven't dealt with law enforcement personally or been in those kind of situations, they always think everything that everybody says is dishonest, rehearsed or scripted or anything like that. But, you know, that doesn't really speak to the truth necessarily. Just because they're saying that that's what they believe, that the young lady's answers to their questions seemed rehearsed, that doesn't mean that that's the case. You know, in their eyes, everybody is guilty until proven innocent, and that's how they treat you. But let's continue.
search warrant on his premise, they recovered $12,000 in cash, along with those 3 firearms, one of which was stolen, and a banned firearm.
King County prosecutors hit Dorsey with charges of human trafficking, promoting prostitution, and unlawful possession of a firearm.
We see very significant violence, strangulation, beatings, assaults.
Prosecutor Brayla McGinnis tried Dorsey's case where his own social media posts were used as evidence, including this one about the 304 oath, where prostitutes promise not to cooperate with police and say they aren't victims.
One of the biggest rules of the game is not to talk to police. It is that idea of selling the dream, right? Saying, I have these nice things. If you come with me, you can have all of this, right? And when you're talking to someone who has had a very rough upbringing or a very troubled life, that's the vulnerability that they exploit.
That's the way I.
And, you know, when it comes to that, that's another big misconception about the game. A lot of people think that it's a requirement for a young lady to have gone through a traumatic upbringing or broken home or things of that nature. But that's not always the case. You know, contrary to popular belief, there's a lot of young ladies out there in the game, active as we speak, who come from stable, loving, two-parent homes. They just decide to get into the game for one reason or another. But it's not always them coming from a traumatic background. But let's continue.
Social media and the use of different ways that people advertise their criminal activity is that if you make it available for the Bellevue Police Department in this case to access and use as part of our lawful investigation, then that's what we will do.
After being found guilty at trial this spring, Dorsey is now starting a 35-year prison sentence.
We were able to take a very dangerous criminal off the street and hold him accountable for his actions.
So as you can see, the young man, Cedric Dorsey, was sentenced to 35 years in the state of Washington prison time, and may the mercies of the Most High be bestowed upon him concerning his situation. You know, I don't wish bad on a young man getting booked and sentenced like that, and I don't celebrate or take joy in seeing anything like that. But, you know, these experiences and these situations need to serve as lessons to some people, because you have other individuals who speak about the state of Washington and say certain things that might encourage you as a young participant in the game to go up there and try to do your thing. But, you know, if you just take certain people's word for it, you might think that you all good going up there doing your thing and end up in a world of trouble. So let's check out some of the things that people say about the state of Washington, and especially the city of Seattle.
In Washington, this is the best place to pimp. Washington's the best place to pimp in the country. I don't know any place else in the fucking country you can come out here, pimp, get caught for pimping. The worst you're gonna get is 5 years. I promise you, as long as it ain't a minor and you didn't beat the bitch up, nigga, you're getting 5 years with a bunch of points. Nigga, if you don't got no points, nigga, you're doing 3 months off of a promoting in the second degree, nigga. Trust me, go look up the law.
So you think that, you know what I'm saying?
Now, they're not giving you no time. They're letting you niggas move. If you don't fuck with a minor or beat a bitch up, you can't go to jail out here for pimping. That's the new law.
Youngsters. Now, I don't know that young man, and best of blessings to him as well. But, you know, you have to have an above average level of thinking, an above average functioning mind in order to, you know, be a participant in this game and, you know, maintain your freedom and succeed and thrive and all that stuff, right? Now, listen to what this man just said. Is, you know, you can come to Seattle and pimp. It's the best place to pimp. You're not gonna go to jail, and if you do, the worst you're gonna get is a few years, as long as you don't have a minor or you don't beat the young lady up. What he's not talking about and considering, and what a lot of people who listen to him and might believe him are not considering, is that bitches lie. You know how many people go to jail for beating a woman up that did not actually beat a woman up? You know how many people go to jail for beating a woman up and did not even lay a finger or make physical contact with that woman? This happens all the time. Not just in situations with pimp cases or trafficking cases and things like that, but domestic violence, all type of stuff. They always gonna side with the woman. All she got to do is say this, that, and the third happened. So, you know, what that young man is saying, you know, obviously was proven wrong, because that young man, Cedric Dorsey, just got sentenced to 35 years. And who's to say if he actually committed domestic violence? And, you know, furthermore, domestic violence or, you know, beating a woman up, that in and of itself does not get somebody 35 years. You get 35 years when they charge you with, you know, human trafficking, which, you know, is, you know, if you study the law, the language of the law is force, coercion, intimidation, manipulation, all that type of stuff. And that young man very well may have not done any of that. He very well may have been dealing with a woman who was with him of her own free will, and she was conscious and aware of what she was doing. I'm pretty sure that was the case. Now, whether or not he beat her up or anything, I don't know. I wasn't there. But there's a very high likelihood that he may not have. And the girl just was mad for one reason or another. 304s get jealous of other 304s. Call them people, get mad, say that he beat me up and he's forcing me to do this, that, and the third. Next thing you know, the young man got 35 years. That is a very high likelihood. Again, I wasn't there, so I don't know 100% sure, but I know this game. I know what pimps go through, and I know what black men in general go through, pimping or not. So if you look at the situations with Puffy and just all these, you know, all these different rappers, all these different celebrities, entertainers, you know, business moguls, all this different stuff, right? They hunt people for sport. If they want somebody, they're gonna get somebody. You know, the people on that side of the law, prosecutors, judges, and whatnot, and law enforcement, you know, the game is rigged, and they'll say and do whatever. They'll lie, cheat, do whatever they got to do in order to get their conviction. It all adds up to money. We live in a capitalist society, so I understand it as much as I, you know, may disagree with it and may not think it's cool. And that doesn't go to say that there are not people guilty of the things that they're charged with. But what I do know is that people get trumped up charges and things get exaggerated all the time. So the bottom line is, don't believe no hype about Seattle being the best place to pimp or Washington State being the best place to pimp. And if you go there, as long as you don't beat a woman up or deal with a minor, that, you know, you're not gonna go to jail. And if you do go to jail, it's gonna be a slap on the wrist. Don't believe none of that bullshit, because as long as you are black and you a man in America, when it comes to the law, there is no best place to pimp. They gonna smack you anywhere in America that you go to do your thing if you get caught up. Don't go to that place or any other place that you hear is supposed to be the best place to pimp because they done changed the laws and now they letting pimps do their thing. No, that's a bunch of bullshit. And then, you know, supposed to be pimps in Seattle in particular, they can't stop shooting the track up. It's hot as hell up there. You know, that it's always some extra stuff going on around there. So if anything, that's probably the worst place to pimp. For real though, it's probably the worst place to pimp. I wouldn't go there, but don't believe the hype, man. And again, you know, best of blessings to the young man Cedric Dorsey and his family and loved ones. And best of blessings to the young man who said that nonsense as well. You dig? But let that marinate on your mind one time. Freezes it. Go ahead, put some of this good old love in your body like so. And of course, as always, long live the incomparable Sinful to P. We out.
Let's go. You see, the God anointed game appointed PI since knee high. Knew that God appointed me to be fly. My reply to the blessing, only one decision for me, man, to integrated and demonstrated. It's obligatory. Okay. So begins the story. These blessings I'm not in tune with.
But getting back to this game that I never left.
Baby, I wish